IXL section Z.4, add and subtract polynomials. All right, so we've already done IXLs on adding polynomials and on subtracting polynomials. This is just combining them, and it should be very simple. The only ones that are tricky are the ones where you got to subtract. So I'm going to first do easy. The first examples here are super simple. All right, so I'm going to do on this slide adding polynomials, but the next slide is the ones where you're most likely to make a mistake, all right? Así que en este IXL estamos haciendo sumar y restar polinomios, que debe ser fácil. Los únicos que son probables que hagan algunos errores ustedes serían cuando están restando polinomios. En la pantalla ahora estoy haciendo ejemplos donde estoy sumando, pero cuando hago los ejemplos donde tienen que restar, eso sí que deben poner atención porque eso son fáciles de equivocarse. All right, so adding polynomials, basically you're just adding like terms, because when you distribute the plus sign, you get rid of the parentheses are dropped, and basically what I'm doing is just this. I'm just combining the like terms. Okay, estoy sumando los términos iguales, así que 8W más 3W me da 11W. 8W plus 3W is 11W, and 2 plus 1 is 3. That's it. This is very simple. On this one, 8y squared plus 4y squared is 12y squared. And then there's nothing to combine this with, so it just stays by itself. Ok, esta parte de aquí atrás no tengo nada con qué combinarlo, así que simplemente se mantiene solo. Ok, se escribe así en la respuesta, porque solamente puedo combinar los términos iguales, los términos que tienen el mismo variable y el mismo exponente. Okay, by the way, if anybody's like a little behind on this, you can only combine the terms that have the same variable, and if it has an exponent, they got to have the same exponent as well. So the y squared, I can only add it with something else that has y squared in the back. No, it can't have anything else. So if it has y in the back, I cannot combine it with something that has y in the back, okay? Over here, the h squared, I can only add it with, whoops, I almost made a mistake. Over here, the h squared, I can only add it with another h squared, and there's nothing else there that says h squared, so it's just going to stay by itself. The 2h, I could add it with this 8h to get 10h. And this 7, I add it with this 6 to get 13. And that's my final answer because I can no longer simplify it any further. Those are h's, by the way. All right, over here, the 7x squared, I can only combine it with something else that has x squared in the back. So 7x squared plus 3x squared is 10x squared. The 3x, I can only combine it with something that has x in the back, and there's nothing else that has x in the back, so it stays by itself. And the 6, I can only add it with another number. There's no other number by itself, so the 6 stays by itself. Okay, over here. And by the way, you should always put your answer from the greatest exponent to the smallest exponent. You should put it right that way, okay? Siempre deben escribir la respuesta desde el exponente más grande hasta el exponente más chiquito. All right, so on this one, let me start with the biggest exponent, which is that one. Okay, estoy empezando con el exponente más grande. There's nothing else to combine it with, so it's just going to stay by itself. Now let's go to the next biggest exponent, which is this one. It has an invisible 1 here. Okay, so the negative 4u, I can combine it with this negative u. Negative 4u minus u is going to equal negative 5u. So that's what I have here, negative 5u. And the 6, I can only combine it with another number that doesn't have a variable. There's no other number by itself, so the 6 is going to stay by itself. So that's my answer. Let me write it more clearly down here, because that looks kind of messy. 4u squared minus 5u plus 6. That's my answer. All right, and over here, this one you got to realize that when you distribute this plus sign, a positive and a negative give you a negative. So this is going to be negative 8z to the third power plus 4z minus 1 minus 8z. And again, this positive and this negative give you a negative, so minus 7. Okay, para este ejemplo le deben poner atención. All right, so everybody should look at this example. to realize that the positive and the negatives give you a negative. So you got to realize that. Okay, now when I combine like terms, all right, well, this one stays by itself. By the way, I'm writing the answer up here. Then the positive 4z minus 8z is going to give you negative 4z. And the negative 1 minus 7 gives you negative 8. So that's the answer for this one. All right, now let's go to the examples where you got to subtract. These are the ones that I said that you need to pay more attention to, okay? Deben poner atención a estos ejemplos. All right, so look, the main thing that you're likely to make a mistake, let me tell you, I was doing this IXL and I was like doing 10 things at once and not really paying attention, and I got several of these wrong. Not because I didn't know how to do it, but just because I wasn't like focusing on it and making stupid mistakes on like 2 or 3 of them, and then getting irritated with myself for making those mistakes. All right, so look, what you got to remember is this: you got to distribute the minus sign to each term, and that's going to change the sign of both of them. But this is the second one is the one that you're most likely to forget about and not distribute the minus sign to, and that's where your mistake is most likely to be. So when I distribute the minus sign, I'm going to have 8b plus 1 minus 6b minus 1. Okay? So again, that's what you got to watch out for. More than likely, if you get something wrong on this IXL, that's the mistake that you're making. You did not distribute the minus sign to both of these terms, especially the second term is the one that you're most likely to forget to distribute it to, okay? Así que cuando están restando, el error que están más probable de hacer es que se le olviden distribuir el signo de restar a todos los términos que están dentro de los paréntesis, especialmente el segundo término. Es muy fácil olvidarse de distribuir el signo negativo a ese término. Cuando lo hago correctamente me da esto, y ahora voy a combinar los términos iguales. So 8b minus 6b is 2b, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So this would be my answer, okay? Esto es la respuesta. Over here, again, I got to distribute that minus sign, and it's going to become 5j plus 6 minus 5j minus 5, because this negative and this plus sign give me a negative. A negative and a positive give me a negative, okay? So 5j minus 5j cancels out, that's 0, and 6 minus 5, my answer is 1. Okay, over here, again, distribute the minus sign whenever you're subtracting to every single term. So I'm going to have 4w plus 8 minus 3w minus 3. Okay? When I do that, 4w minus 3w is w, and 8 minus 3 is positive 5. So that's my answer. All right, over here, I'm going to distribute my minus sign. So I'm going to have 2m squared plus 3m plus 5 minus 2m squared minus m. Okay, so that's going to give me 2m squared minus 2m squared, that's 0. 3m minus m is 2m, and this plus 5 has nothing else to combine it with, so it stays by itself. All right, here I distribute the minus sign, so it's going to be 8m squared plus 8m plus 7 minus 4m minus 3. All right, so 8m squared, I got nothing to combine it with, so it's going to stay by itself. All right, 8m minus 4m is going to give me positive 4m, and 7 minus 3 is going to give me positive 4, and that would be my answer. Okay, over here, distribute the minus sign. So I'm going to have 5s to the third power minus s to the second power minus 9s minus 3 minus 9s plus 9. This negative and this negative, a negative and a negative become a positive, so that changes it to plus 9, okay? Este negativo con este negativo te da un positivo, por eso lo cambié a más 9. All right, so now 5s to the third power, I got nothing to combine it with, so it stays by itself. The s squared, I got nothing to combine it with, so it stays by itself, minus s squared. The negative 9s minus 9s, negative 9s minus 9s is negative 18s. And the negative 3 plus 9, that's the same as 9 minus 3. It's going to give me plus 6. And that's my answer. All right. Two more examples. Basically the exact same thing we just did, just with more terms there, okay? These are adding, so really you're just going to add the combined like terms, okay? Aquí tienen que simplemente combinar los términos iguales. So 3j to the third power plus 5j to the third power is 8j to the third power. 2j squared plus 4j squared is 6j squared. 4j plus 8j is 12j. And 5 plus 1 is 6. Very simple. Over here, negative 3f to the fourth power plus 6f to the fourth power. You're just doing negative 3 plus 6, which gives you positive 3f to the fourth power. Negative 6f to the third power minus 4f to the third power. You're just doing negative 6 minus 4, which gives you negative 10f to the third power. 4f squared plus f squared. Remember, there's an invisible 1 here. That's going to give you 5f squared. Negative 5f. There's nothing to combine it with, so it stays by itself. And negative 7 minus 2 is negative 9, and that's my answer. All right, guys. So you have 2 IXLs for today. I already forgot the other one. I think it was Z1. Yeah, Z1 and Z4. All right, 2 IXLs. They're both simple. You should be able to finish them both within the first one in like less than like 2 or 3 minutes. And the second one, I would say within 5 to 10 minutes. All right, that's very little. All right, so make sure to do them. And you guys have been doing a great job lately, all right? So that's it for today, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next class.